Hey guys, on the last video for this channel I made about the Assange Coney Cove.com thing, upload, touched briefly on the copyright topic. Now, this sort of is an extension of that Assange mega upload, particularly the mega upload topic, is because, again, it's one of those topics that it's the little guy against the big guy. So straight away people get sort of blinkers on and blindly, not everybody, but a lot of people, you know, get the blinkers on, little guy versus the big guy, oh, well, we've got to support the little guy, oh, you know, boom. And the copyright, as a result of that, you know, one of the most favourite topics on YouTube is anything to do with copyright. You know, people get all emotional about copyright. Now, recently on my Japan channel, we've had some issues with copyright because the Japanese copyright system is fairly strict, and YouTube's way of dealing with it has been over the top, which means that we're actually getting stuff that isn't doesn't have a copyright on it, but YouTube won't allow it because their computer system thinks it is copyright material when it's not. So it's basically a YouTube problem. But you know, I've had trouble with copyright stuff before like that, but I don't complain about the copyright, the real copyright issue. The YouTube thing's different. Their system is seeing some music or listening to some music, and it thinks it's other music. So it's stuff that it doesn't have a copyright on it, but YouTube's system thinks it does. That's a problem. It's a pain in the ass. But the actual copyright thing itself, I have zero problem with. And let me try and tell you why. It's because I think when you make something, you've made it, you can decide what happens to it. Now on YouTube and a lot of other sort of similar formats, there's often an option to put something in the public domain. So if it's your photos or your videos or your something you've written or something something you've made, you have a choice, and you can choose to put it in the public domain. So I know when I've talked to people about this before, they've said, oh, you know, if I make a video, I want the world to see it, and if everybody shares it around, that's great because everybody gets to see it. I've got a friend who feels the same about his music. He's happy for people to copyright it and to copy it and download it and give it to their friends and share it around. He's happy for that because he wants everybody to hear it. And that's his choice, and that's great. And I admire him for that he gives it away. But I think when you make something, you should have a choice how it's used. Now, the reason I feel strongly about this is because I've had my stuff misused. You know, I've had my videos, you know, that I'll make a video, and then 6 months later someone sends me a message and says, hey, look at this, somebody's, you know, re-edited your video. And then I go and look at it, and someone's taken one of my videos and cut it up and done different stuff to it that I didn't want them doing. And it might have my head in it, or it might have my voice in it. It's always got my video in it. And they've used it in a way that I didn't want it used. You know, that wasn't my intention to have it used like that. And so I think, as I made it, I should have a right to decide how it's used and how it's displayed and what they do with it. You know, and that if they, you know, that if I don't, whoa, what's this? Oh, it's a tiny piece of tree, you people, come on. But, you know, I think that we should have a choice. And you know, again, it's, anytime that you get a topic that's little guy against the big guy, everybody gets all emotional. So, oh, it's the big companies just wanting to make money, and, well, yeah, that's true, they do, but that's why they do it. You know, and if the big record companies and the big movie companies and everybody else stop making money, they won't do it anymore. So if we want to watch the big Hollywood blockbuster movies, and if we want to listen to the latest music, then someone's going to make money out of it, or they're not going to do it. I mean, there is some artists, like my friends, who'll make music just because they love making music, but most of them don't, and they'll just stop. You know, why would the big movie companies make the big blockbuster movies if they're not going to make money? You know, and if everybody downloads it, oh, I can't afford to rent the video. Well, you know, okay, but if everybody does that and nobody rents the video, nobody goes and sees it at the cinema, the big movie companies won't make any money and they won't do it anymore. You know, and it's the same as with the music and everything else. So, you know, again, I think it's the same as I said in the last video. I think it's really easy when you get one of these emotional subjects, and when it's one of these little guy versus big guy things, you know, it's really easy to get all emotional about it and not look at it objectively. But I think we really need to look at it objectively. I love big blockbuster movies, and if I've got to pay out, you know, a couple of dollars to rent the video, then I'll do it. You know, and again, the other thing I probably should have mentioned more in the last video, if we don't like the laws, we should change them. You know, and I think the copyright laws are copyright laws, and you know, it's, to be honest, when it's my stuff and someone takes it and does something to it without my permission, I feel like I've been robbed. I feel like they've stolen it from me. You know, and I think you guys would feel the same. If you made something, maybe you're not, maybe your feeling would be, oh, well, if everybody gets to see it, that's fantastic. But what if they change it? As soon as someone steals it, they can then do with whatever they want with it. So if you've made some music that you're really proud of, and oh yeah, I'm happy for the whole world to see it, to hear it, well, that's fantastic. But then how would you feel if they took that music and put it to, you know, someone being beaten up, or put it to some scene, some image that you weren't happy with? You know, some image that was the opposite of how you feel about something, that made you feel really bad. You know, or they took it, let them have it for free, and then they took it and they sold it. You know, and they made money out of it. So, you know, I think you should have a choice. That's the bottom line. I think it comes down to, if you make something, I think you should then have a choice what you do with it. And I think the markets tend to work these things out too. You know, it's not that expensive. I mean, buying music from, you know, for downloading music from iTunes, or you know, renting videos, or you know, watching videos on YouTube. I think you can watch new release movies on YouTube for a couple of dollars. You know, it's not that expensive. The market's brought it all down. You know, so, you know, most countries have free-to-air TV. It's only the new release ones you've got to pay for. So, you know, if you wait, most countries have free-to-air TV. Most countries have free-to-air radio. So you can watch the movies on TV for free. You can listen to the music on the radio for free. So we've already got access to it for free. The only time you've got to pay for it is if you want a new release, something that's new released, or you want to control it, because you want to put it in your DVD player, or put it in your iPhone, iPod or something, you know. So, you know, again, guys, I think topics like this, people can get, it's easy to become really emotional about it and sort of get closed-minded, you know. And that's, I think, this video and the last one, the Assange one, you know, I think we need to be open-minded and not let blinkers come on when it's an emotional topic. Oof, you know, and we see this on the internet all the time, and I've actually got friends and actually family members that get behind all this stuff blindly, and got behind Coney 2012 and that support all this, you know, anything that's the people versus the establishment, the people versus the government, or the people versus the big companies, just blindly support it, you know, and they share it on Facebook and they get all emotional about it and share it around, which is great. And I mean, that's important too. Activism's important. I totally support activism, but I'm just saying, let's do our activism with our eyes open and our minds open, listening and watching and thinking before we get all emotional, you know. And I see this all the time on YouTube. I'm sure you guys do too, you know, where someone makes a video about something. I get it on my videos all the time. You know, I say something and someone comes on with some big emotional response, getting all angry and emotional. It's like, I didn't say that. Are you saying, you know, why is it rude for people to carry backpacks in Japan? I didn't say it was rude. Where'd you get that from? That happens all the time. People sort of hear a little bit, watch a little bit, get all emotional and respond without really listening or thinking first. You know, and you know, we get manipulated with that stuff, guys. People manipulate us. People can manipulate us if we allow that to happen. You know, if we lose our cool, if stuff happens, you know, and we lose our cool, and it happens on the internet all the time, YouTubers use this to make a lot of money off you guys. You know, you get the likes of Sexist Phil, and a lot of those other front page YouTubers are really clever when it comes to this. They won't say what I've just said in this video or what I said in the last video. They won't criticise Assange, and they won't criticise Coney, and they probably will now, but they won't criticise the Cove, and they won't criticise Mega Upload, because they know that's not popular. Because the internet, for some reason, the internet is really dominated by conspiracy people and people that you know, that get behind all this stuff blindly. And I'm not saying it's all bad. I mean, you know, we need activism, and we need people to stand up and say what they think, and we need all this sort of stuff. But you know, the copyright, back to the topic, is the copyright. You know, and those guys on the front page of YouTube know how to manipulate people. They know that if they address the emotional topics and support the little guy against the big guy, that they'll make a lot of money, because everybody will support them and get behind them, and oh yeah, and you can see it all the time. You can see it all the time. Have a look at the front page of YouTube. Have a look at the front page of YouTube at some of the topics on there like this. You know, and they always get behind the popular opinion. You know, they don't dare say, hey, wait a minute, you know, let's stop and have a look at copyright law. You know, is it really such a bad thing? You know, they wouldn't dare say that, because they'd lose subscribers. You know, it's much more popular for them to say the stuff that they say, the popular stuff, and then everybody supports them, and that's where we get manipulated. It's where guys like Julian Assange and all these people can do what they want, because people just blindly support them. You know, so not everybody. Again, not everybody. You know, a lot of people can see what's going on here. So look, copyright, guys. Yeah, look, let's look at it with an open mind. Let's look at an open mind. Let's be realistic. We've got to be realistic. It's all very well to be idealistic and feel strongly about these topics, but we've got to be realistic. You know, do you like watching big Hollywood blockbuster movies? I do. You know, and those movies cost a lot of money to make, and the big companies, it's just the reality. We've got to be realistic. The reality is, big companies want to make money. That's why they're there. If they stop making big money, they shut down. They just disappear. That's what happens to big companies. Big companies that stop making money stop existing. So we've got a choice. You know, if we don't want, you know, if we don't want to pay for movies, well, that's okay. But we're not going to have the big blockbusters. We're only going to have movies made by people like me. Dodgy little cameras driving around the streets. It's true, because the big companies just won't do it if there's no money in it. We've got to be realistic. It's the same with the music and the variety. You know, I think it's easy to get really anti-establishment. You know, oh, the big companies suck and making big money, and oh, you know, it's all capitalism, and it's all, yeah, well, that's true. And if you don't like it, there is some countries around the world where the capitalism doesn't exist, and we can go live there if we want to. But you know, you're not going to have your air conditioner and your colour TV and your blockbuster movies and all your music. It's not going to be there, because there's nobody making it. There'll just be a guy beating a drum. You know? Copyright, it's a good thing. It really is. And again, unpopular video, I know. You know, and this is the pressure. This is the pressure that comes, interestingly, against topics like this. Is that you got to be really careful with topics like this, and this is why you don't hear a lot of people saying this, because they know it's not popular. They know that you don't, you know, nobody's going to make a popular video saying something like this. So it's the pressure to conform, even when it's conforming with the unconforming people or something. Anyway, something to think about. Let's be open-minded. More videos coming soon.